My name is Tim Wilkinson-Hall. I'm head of essentially people and office at ChessICT. On the people side, I look after the learning and development, and also head of culture as well. And Laura works for me. Laura's one of my sales coaches that works within the business. And essentially what we do is we train our people to increase growth through the business or be compliant.
Right. Okay. That's brilliant. So, if we could sort of start sort of at, why you were looking for a learning management system. Had you used one before, or to what sparked this off, really, I suppose?
We took my learning hub before I was in this role, but I was in the team at the time. So at the time, I believe we were looking for a central system for all learning or a central system for all learning documentation and courses to be on, and a central system that could be used by people across our group at different sites and locations. And I believe that's the reason why we got a learning management system. I would think the reason we've got my learning hub would have been the cost at the time. It would have been the most cost-effective system for us to use, which is why we rolled that out here.
Right. And so what specifically do you wanted it to do for the organisation?
Well, predominantly, just we were in the past. We had lots of learning stored in many places, whether that be on shared drives, individual teams kept hold of their own. Some on SharePoint. A lot was done in classroom, paper-based. So we wanted it to essentially be all in one place that was easy for people to access what they needed for their role. And then over time, what we've done is we've kind of stopped doing classroom-based training, and we now build training directly onto the platform. So we kind of change the way that we deliver knowledge within our group. We also did for a short time use it for surveys as well. So for engagement surveys, we used the platform for engagement surveys. But mostly we use it now for what we will call learn to earn. So it's a framework for individuals in the organisation increasing their salary by completing certain competencies and behaviours. And we use My Learning Hub as the framework to record where they're up to against their levels specific to their role.
Right. So presumably then everybody has a personal learning profile and it records everything they do and their progress and that sort of thing in there.
It's essentially a modern PDP, a digital version of a PDP.
So I believe My Learning Hub did sort of some custom work for you. Is that right, in developing?
Yeah, I think they would have done at the beginning, especially around Learn to Earn and the survey tool. I mean, again, I wasn't actually on the project for the rollout, but right. I do remember that they definitely did do some work for what we would call Learn to Earn and for surveys as well. And obviously they still do some development work for us up until today for our business.
Right. And so you use the authoring tool then to produce your own training material, is that right?
Yeah, I think over the last 12 months we've tried to adopt the authoring tool as much as we can. Some of it is still documents that are uploaded, some of it's still PowerPoint, sometimes with a voiceover. But we're trying to, as and when we can, use the authoring tool for content that we're creating.
And sort of going to digital or virtual learning, were you doing that before COVID hit anyway, or has that accelerated it?
It definitely accelerated it. We did try and do some, using different platforms to create the content. It's somewhere where on our roadmap we were always planning to get to. We just didn't know when we would get to that point, purely because a lot of our training was classroom based. It's only really over the COVID period that we started to utilise things like Teams for training or creating e-learning or virtual training.
Right. Okay. And so how many users do you have? And are these all within the company or or is it outside the company as well?
So yeah, we have 350 employees around that use it as their main hub for learning. There's a project ongoing at the moment to some of our what we would call partners of the business to get them onto the learning hub as well, just for their knowledge specific to the product that they sell. They may be a mobile distribution dealer where they would have access, but they would only be able to upskill in that product. And that's an ongoing project at the moment. So our wholesale division, we're trying to get onto the portal, onto the platform.
Right. And what's the user response to what's the feedback from users?
Internally, I think people like it internally. I think we're quite fortunate that Max, who works for my learning hub, he's a valuable asset to us where he'll listen to feedback, he'll change things that our users want. I think it's the first time that we've had a learning platform in chess, and the majority of those people wouldn't have seen one before. So what they see is they're quite happy about. Majority of people, I think they quite like it. I think going forward, what we probably need to think about is we don't want the training to look the same every time. And I think using that authoring tool, it does look very similar all the time. You can change your backgrounds and your colours and everything, but it's essentially the same design. But at the moment, I would say people are happy with it. We don't get feedback around. It's more about the content we create more than the actual, courses themselves.
Yeah, right. So, and I mean, in terms of the results, the development of people, do you find that it is actually doing what you want it to do?
I think so. Yeah, I think we could probably use it. My team were 12 heads before the pandemic started, and it's gone down to obviously myself and Laura. So creation of content, the volume of content we would like to create, we don't currently have the capacity to create it. And I think that's what we need. We know that we need more content on there. We know that we need to increase the volume. And I think that's what, if we can increase the volume over time, that will improve people's perception of the learning hub. I think at the moment there is a lot of stuff on there, but it's not that relevant to everyone.
Right. I mean, have you got any idea of how many courses are on there?
What would you say, Laura? Around 300? Maybe that's too many. Oh, you there?
I'd say about 200, 250 when we had a look recently from the research we did.
Right. And do you also have internal documents, procedures, policies, that sort of thing on there?
So originally we did we've now moved them over to our own platform, which is called Engage, which is it sits on SharePoint. So there is a project ongoing at the moment for us to create our own document management platform, which everyone will move to. But there is some processes in there. What we try and do as well is instead of just sticking a process on there, we will train that into learning content. So we'll tell the people what the process is, how it works, and then we'll test them on it as well. So instead of people feeling that they're just looking at a process or a procedure, we actually make it into a learning course to hopefully so they can keep the knowledge from it.
Yeah. So instead of just reading something and forgetting it, they actually understand what it's going to do. Okay. That is pretty much my questions. Have you got anything you want to add to that, or?
No, not really. I think we know, are we utilising the platform as much as we should do? No, probably not. The reason for that is obviously, a drop in heads. We know the business is doing very well, but we don't currently have a budget to create content. So a lot of it is done by myself and Laura, or the stakeholders. Do we have a good relationship with My Learning Hub? I would think we have a very good relationship with Victor and Max. I think, many times we said internally, I think we're quite fortunate to have the support we have from Max, and we probably wouldn't have that if we went elsewhere. And Victor's always on hand if we need anything.
So you find them very responsive, do you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The support, the technical support, the advice from Victor, I think is, is second to none. And I think we'd be very lucky to get that from another organisation. And that's one of the reasons why we retained our licenses, was purely because, of Victor and Max. I think they're both very professional people who'll go out of their way to, to support our needs for the business. People know how to navigate it. They know how to find things. People find it simple enough to complete learning on that system, which is it's what happy. We never ever get any negative feedback from anyone in chess around the platform itself. Maybe the odd little thing where a few people have mentioned recently about they have to use so many characters for feedback, and so they're not giving feedback. Little things like that, which can be resolved in time. But on the whole, people are really happy with the platform.
Right.
But it's just simple to use, and that's what we always wanted. We just want something that's simple to use.
Right. Okay. Well, that's brilliant. I mean, that's everything I've got to ask. If that's, if you've said everything, that's absolutely fine.
Do you want to add anything, Laura?
I think you pretty much covered it. Just from my perspective again, because I came into using the LMS platform not having had any training on it or any experience with it, to all of a sudden creating content. And without Max, who's been a great support. I mean, his response times to emails is fantastic. And the technical support, I've raised tickets and I've had a reply almost instantly, which in any kind of business is unheard of, really. So from my perspective, absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay.
Good. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.